cards instead. Now, Treasury started testing that out in the first round of payments a year ago. There's been a lot of concern about some of the fees that unbanked households have to pay to access their money. An analysis by the Brookings Institution found that the costs range from about $8 to as much as $195 for a family of 5. But guys, the challenge with the prepaid cards is that some people thought it was a scam and they didn't activate it right away. So officials say that the real card is a Visa and that the envelope would prominently display.
So folks, we got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and STI. We have a lot of good news that you need to know about this video and about the fourth stimulus check, so continue watching. You don't want to miss out on this. New information has been released by the Social Security Administration as the cost of living continues to rise. Many economists are pushing for more relief, specifically for seniors and retirees. New plans have also been put forward that provides extra financial help to Americans. Beginning in January, retirees will already see a healthy increase in their monthly Social Security checks. Benefits are increasing by 8.7% based on the cost of living adjustment announced in October, and that's the largest hike since the all-time record of 11%. Senior Citizens League also said in a statement this year that a COLA of 8.7% is a lot. In fact, the COLA has only risen about 7% 5 times since it was introduced in 1975. The 2022 COLA in comparison was only 5.9%. Next year's increase represents the agency's attempt to keep up with ongoing inflation. The adjustment is determined annually by shifts in the Consumer Price Index, which charts year-over-year fluctuations for goods and services. Since 1975, everybody, Social Security benefits have been adjusted automatically each year based on fluctuations in inflation, as determined by the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. The Social Security Administration compares the average CPIW in 3 months of the third quarter of the current year to the same time frame in the year prior. One expert even told CNN News that COLA increase is a valuable feature that keeps retirees from truly being tied to a fixed income when managing expenses. The CPIW was also 8.5% in July and dipped down to 8.3%. And so with 2023 COLA, it's 8.7%. Predictions are fluctuating greatly each year, and the nonpartisan committee responsible for our budget estimated benefits would increase by as much as 10.8%. So in July, the organization's senior policy director predicted that if inflation remained on its current trajectory, the increase would be 11% higher, the highest ever. And by August, Richard Johnson, director of the Retirement Policy Program, told American Rescue Plan that somewhere in the 9% range is probably a reasonable guess. The COLA goes into effect with December benefits, which appear in checks delivered in January 2023. Social Security payments are made on Wednesdays, following a rollout schedule based on the beneficiary's birthday. For people who receive Social Security benefits, there is a letter coming in the mail that you will want to keep an eye out for. The administration is already sending out letters throughout December, regardless of the cost of living adjustment coming in January. You may need it for a number of things, including proof of benefit amount when applying for loans or energy assistance. The letter notifies beneficiaries of their 2023 benefit amount, and if your COLA payment is more or less than you expected, you can make an appeal to the SSA and your COLA letter or COLA e-letter, which will act as a sort of proof of payment.
Mineral mapping and fund crucial facilities and research at the U.S. Geological Survey. Work that will help us find new mineral deposits and develop the sustainable mines of the future. Due to the severity of our energy and mineral security challenge, we included aggressive deadlines for action in our legislation. Unfortunately, not all of these deadlines have been met, including at the Department of Interior. Senator Murkowski and I sent letters to Secretary Holland, along with the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Energy, the Director of National Intelligence, back in May, after several deadlines related to the critical minerals were missed. While many of those issues were eventually resolved, last month the Department of Interior failed to meet another key deadline related to critical minerals, a first step required to improve permitting for new mines. And there are more statutory deadlines coming soon for reports that are needed to inform efforts to secure our supply chains and increase
$194. The benefit stands at $100.
Credits, 2021 earned income tax credits, and stimulus payments. What does this mean? With the child tax credit, your family could be eligible for up to $3,600 per child under 6 and $3,000 per dependent ages 6 to 17. A new report shows the IRS owes about 4.1 million families credit from a pot worth $3.7 billion. The earned income tax credit can be a little complicated, but it's a benefit available to most families with children.
We finally have some huge news. Congress is a week away from a government shutdown, and experts say that if a government shutdown shutdown does happen, then millions of people would be directly affected because stimulus checks would not be sent out. But now, House and the Senate are expected to pass a short-term bill to stop this from happening. It would give negotiators more time to try and secure a broader, full funding deal. Schumer said today that the senators should be prepared to take quick action on a one-week extension just to give lawmakers more time to negotiate. Chuck Schumer also said in remarks on the Senate floor that he anticipates quick action on a stopgap funding bill, which is known as a continuing resolution, so they can give appropriators more time to finish a full funding bill just before the holidays. And negotiators are under pressure to reach an agreement for a broader, full funding year, and this can happen imminently. If they can't, then the lawmakers could pass a stopgap bill by the end of the year, an outcome neither party wants, or could punt the decision to next year, when Republicans take over the House. It could complicate the government's ability to avert a shutdown, as it would mean newly empowered House Republicans need to agree with 60 senators and Joe Biden to get this done. But so far, the GOP senators, the top Republicans on the Senate Appropriations Committee, said today that there is more optimistic than there was a week ago about the possibility that negotiators will reach a deal for a full-year funding package, and he warned that he is still guarded because there is no deal reached yet. The governor said, "We haven't reached a solution to some problems, but we're moving in the right direction, and we're probably going to need more time on this." So the approaching deadline for government funding had members of Congress and their staffers from both parties, as well as Biden's administration, to continue to talk through negotiations over the weekend to try and get something done. But over the weekend, Democrats and Republicans are sharing with one another their bottom lines on various fronts, and the White House remained publicly optimistic that an agreement could be reached on an omnibus. But Democrats counter by saying those measures were necessary to help the country recover from the crisis. Now, congressional aides acknowledged to CNN that the weekend talks were better than days prior, which is why Democrats have announced that they will not introduce their own Democratic-only omnibus plan this weekend. For now, a bipartisan deal remains on the table. It remains elusive still. Lawmakers haven't been able to reach an agreement yet, or reach a full-year funding package as of now. But Mitch McConnell said this afternoon that Democrats must drop demands for additional spending on domestic programs in order to get a broad government funding bill passed before the holidays, or risk passing a short-term bill into early next year, after Republicans take control of the House, and will be poised to determine even lower funding levels. But Americans, including hundreds of thousands of federal employees, could soon see an impact of a government shutdown, because according to CBS, most Americans will see and notice the disruption in one way or another. Many national parks would have likely shut down, while mortgage and other loan applications could be delayed, because the IRS could stop verifying income and Social Security numbers. Now, government agencies that are deemed essential would continue despite a shutdown, but still, the last shutdown was December 2018 and January 2019. It was a partial closure since Congress had already acted 12 appropriations bills. But right now, Congress really hasn't done anything. So this means that if nothing is done and no bill is agreed to, then pretty much no stimulus checks yet. I mean, not yet. But now there's a fourth big stimulus check and new deposits been released. Americans can qualify to get at least